Another galaxy. You know they're out there. You know they're out there.
I'm like bouncing my head to the music, and your thing was like, yeah, I hear it.
You know they're out there, don't you?
You done broke me and everything.
We have an echo right now. Hang on.
I think you may have the stream. Now I hear you.
Okay, it might not be too bad because I have my volume low, but I'm trying to mute YouTube. But because I popped out the chat, I had to exit out of that, and now I have to reload the YouTube page. But it's somehow still playing in the background. And I don't understand what's happening.
What? That's not normal.
I don't know what's happening.
That's one of the things where you just like slap your computers like, hey,
Yeah, and I'm
stop
like
it.
panicked trying to exit out of things, so it's obviously going really slow. Now it's just gonna drag ass on me.
You're just like looking at your computer like, hey, stop it. Stop
Okay,
it.
alright. I have no chat yet, so I don't know. Can they hear us right now?
Oh yeah,
Does
they
everybody
can
know
hear
about
it.
my
So,
problem?
Yeah, they can hear your problems.
Okay, perfect. I'm really glad that
Oh,
everybody...
Breestone's hanging out in chat. He can hear your problems.
Okay. That's good. Adam, I don't want to talk about it, alright? Okay.
We're just having some issues here. We're just
Another galaxy.
Here we go. Let's try this one.
You know they're out there. You know they're
Having some coffee for you, Adam.
he's probably drinking coffee. So let me know when you're ready.
I mean, you go ahead whenever. You know.
Let's
You
do
know
the
they're out there,
damn
don't you?
thing.
In the history of television, great men and women have brought us up-to-the-minute news as it happens. From the moon landing to the dangers of secondhand smoke. Sometimes they even make us laugh. The one thing that stays the same, everyone wants to know what's in the news. From the Voss News Network, your hosts, Poonsauce McNasty, and to give the show some credibility, Logan Exhales. And now, back to the studio.
Boom. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What's in the News. And, of course, you know who we are by now. And everybody's starting to come on and chat. What is up, everybody? Breestones, I know you can hear us. It's okay. Is it your fault? No, yeah, yeah, Adam, it's your fault. Don't worry. You could take the blame on this one this time.
You know, I'm completely okay with blaming Adam.
I know. I feel like that's the easiest thing to do because he was the
I
first
feel like
one
that's probably the easiest.
He was
thing
the
to do.
first one to type in chat, so he's the easiest one to blame at the moment. So
I agree. Adam, this is entirely your fault. No, I'm just.
So I
Just
feel
kidding,
like,
man.
but he's okay with it. So yeah, what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? And yeah, we got another exciting episode. A lot to talk about this evening because there's a lot of stuff that has happened. But before we get into that, it wouldn't be a vape kind of oriented show if it wasn't for the buffets. So Logan, since yours is the longest today, why don't you tell us what the hell you're vaping on, man?
Okay, buffets. Let's do the buffet thing. First up, we'll just go with YardMod 2.0. YardMod V1 is no more. Won't charge, won't hold a charge. Is what it is. So I've got a Geek Vape Mini here, a little lipo guy, Slide sitting on top with some 10 milligram blood orange champagne on the inside. Daily driver for me. Next up, I've got that Gaia from Fallout, an Ultraner Dual 21700. I've got the Blotto sitting on top with that, I don't know, 90 mil aquarium tank glass that's on this thing. That's really good, though. I've got some Big Berry from Charlie's Chalk Dust in there. Next up, Snowcaps, Avalanche 20x700 little mech squonk guy. I've got a QP Neo sitting on top with a... I have no idea what this Chiquita tip is called.
I don't think that's a sea glass because it's too...
No, it's the green to other green color change.
Okay.
That's what I got sitting on top of there. And inside this, I have some Sokka's Mindbender from Mr. Sifu himself. And then I've got, last up, Boxer 20x700 Squonk. Citadel sitting on top. This is a Dat Money Dough Chiquita tip from DHD. And inside there, I've got some Lemon Berry from Mr. Tom Lyford himself. And it is delicious.
Delicious. Awesome.
That's it. That's my buffet.
Okay.
I tried to do that as quickly as possible.
That was pretty simple and down to the point. Well, yeah, I got a few things. Well, literally, my buffet is literally half of Logan's today just because I'm feeling kind of lazy. So, first off, I got the Lazy Vapor DNA 75C 21700.
Beautiful box.
Little box with Dwarf DL on top with a single AJ Holland special recipe, aka just the same kind of specs as a Game Boy single, which he did special for me, which was pretty badass, and it's rocking. And inside of there, I got the last little bit of got a little bit left of Marcellus, a little bit left.
Oh, just a tad.
Getting to the bottom, but that's delicious out of there. And then I got like one of my everyday kind of setups. Well, the tank is at least every day, but I've been using this mod pretty much just as much. So, got the mix with the GT4S with the Bat Chiquita on top of there. And inside of there, I don't have the bottle for it since I finished the bottle, but I had a little bit left of my crunch cake from Liquid Temptations, which it's just like one, the like strawberry shortcake ice cream sandwich thing.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's fantastic.
Nice. That sounds really good, actually. That sounds like something I would really
I'm
enjoy.
probably going to finish this tank by the time the stream's done. No shame.
Yeah, most likely.
It'll be, after the show, will be rewicking time for that tank. But other than that, that is what and then I guess I had another one, a little Okami disposable passion fruit guy. Which, hey, disposables have their place, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
To be honest.
Absolutely.
For what it is, for being a 50 milligram salt nick, it's a great vape when I need it.
For sure. I used hides. I used to use hide disposables all the time. If I was going somewhere and I didn't want to bring a mod and a tank and a thing or something, I just stop and grab a little hide. Like if we were going on road trips or something like that, and I don't feel like fiddling with anything else. And I don't really use like refillable pod systems because I don't use pod systems really ever in general. So if I wanted, one of those, I would grab them. Unfortunately, we don't have them here in New York State anymore. But
yeah, I still have a stack for either me or if I see a smoker that wants to try it, I can hand these out. So an entire stack of
yeah, I would absolutely encourage you to.
So,
absolutely. See
that,
someone smoking, just be like, "Hey, man, you ever try one of these?
Like,
might help you."
He's like, "Here, you want some pods?" Open up a
might be nice, might satisfy.
Yeah,
you never know. Don't know till you try.
But other than that, that is what I got for my buffet this evening. Pretty simple. And yeah.
that one box is just gorgeous.
Oh, I love it. I don't give it enough attention as I should, but
yeah, that's a beautiful box. You got a beautiful box, Corey.
I
just want you to know that.
I've been told. So yeah, we have a lot to talk about this evening, guys. There's a lot of stuff that has come out within the past almost week and a half since we've done a show. Pretty much 2 weeks by now. But yeah, there's been so many things that have like either come out or things to talk about. But the first thing we're going to talk about this evening is something that's really cool that came out from the UK. Me and Logan both have watched this thing, and it's a really cool kind of 30-minute free YouTube documentary kind of thing that you can literally type in what you see in our title of this stream, just type in Vaping Demystified, and it's the first thing that pops up. But it's not like groundbreaking on the information that it's come out with, but the coolest thing about it is it came from a business that has no ties to anything vaping related. It's coming from a cancer research foundation, practically. I believe, right?
Yeah, this is right out of Yorkshire Cancer Research.
And it's told us everything that a lot of us already know about vaping when it comes to just like the harm reduction value of it, and just kind of going against, like, they talk about the Avali crisis and all that kind of stuff, how it kind of deterred people away, and it's a fantastic watch. So I'm gonna actually,
I already got you.
yeah, Logan's gonna throw that in chat for you right now.
I recommend the link
recommend
right to the whole mini documentary right on YouTube. It's like
I
30
recommend
minutes long.
everybody to sit down and watch it, because it is fantastic, and it kind of gives a little bit of the UK point of view, where it's come to like all these research doctors and all that kind of like people who have a stake in cancer research talking about this and who've done their research.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
amazing.
there's definitely familiar faces in there.
Oh, yeah.
People, Clive Bates is in there,
Mhm.
Martin Dockrell's in there, Granny Louise is in there. So yeah, there's fantastic advocates, people who've been in tobacco, nicotine research, tobacco control for a really, really, really long time. The things that besides the documentary itself, besides it being fantastic, factual, and having a lot of compassion towards people who smoke, this is from Yorkshire Cancer Research, and to my knowledge, Yorkshire Cancer Research has absolutely no affiliations to tobacco and nicotine and tobacco companies or anything like this. This is a cancer research institution, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And they've put this out, so I think that speaks volumes. I think that's really important. And two, it's whenever I see things like this from the UK, my first thought is, this is fantastic, this is awesome. My second thought is, why not here? And I think that's the most frustrating thing whenever I watch anything that comes from the UK. In this documentary, this little mini documentary, they mentioned the video that Public Health England released a few years ago with, they showed the cotton balls, this big, it was like a 10-minute thing. Whenever I see things like this come out of the UK, I applaud it, and then I go, why can't we do that? The science isn't any different. People's lungs aren't any different. The people aren't any different. Why is it that this kind of stuff we only see come out of it? Why don't we see, you know what we get here? We get brainworm commercials.
Yeah.
That's our public health addressing the public here. In this, in this country, we go, no, stay away from that because brain worms.
Yeah.
Do you see that contrast? That contrast is what frustrates me the most.
Kind of like where the UK has its hand around the what should be talked about, when here it's just like,
yeah, well, I mean,
nonsense and just ridiculousness.
It's an evidence-based, campaign. It's an evidence-based campaign to get out to people, whereas here we use fear. We don't use evidence. We use fear. We use shame. We use stigma. We use misinformation campaign.
It's sad. It really is a sad thing to where, like, look how different things are. But Mike K actually put something in chat that was one of the things that stood out to me the most, kind of talking about the backstory of the guy who kind of put out the idea for the first e-cigarette, how it's like he had a nightmare after he stopped using his patch where he was drowning in vapor.
Mr. Han Lick.
Yeah. And it was as cool as like that.
Dream of being in fog or vapor or whatever it was.
It's crazy how a nightmare the day you forget to take your patch. Because they were talking about how he had the patch on his stomach and everything, whereas like the one day he forgets.
Here's the other thing too that they didn't really mention in that documentary. There were patents and designs for electronic cigarettes that go way back to the 1800s. But I think he knew all of that, and I think that's maybe he came to that revelation. Maybe in that dream, he was like, oh, you know what? I think I figured out how we can take these like early concepts now. You know, it's not like the whole idea of an electronic cigarette first originated with Hanlick. He just created the modern one.
Mm-hmm.
There are patents that go back to the 1800s for electronic cigarettes, and the biggest thing that held it all back was batteries.
Yeah.
They didn't have lithium ion batteries or lithium polymer batteries in the 1800s. So yes, while I appreciate the story of Hanlick's nightmare and how he, you know, dreamed up the electronic cigarette, there's a little more nuance to that, I think, that they don't discuss. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's a really cool story, and hats off forever and always to Hanlick.
Yeah, it's just, I recommend anybody that's in chat right now or is going to be watching the replay, take 30 minutes out of your day and just watch it, because it's a great thing to spread around to family members and other people, because like how he said, it's not going to be the kind of situation where, oh, they're tied into the vaping industry. This of course it's going to be pro vaping. No, this is no ties.
Independent cancer research center.
Yeah, this is coming from a cancer research center where it's no ties to tobacco, no ties to vaping. It's just medical experts putting out
to my knowledge,
information.
There's zero ties to anything. They're just cancer research,
and they put out great information.
And I'm sure you can go down the road of ties to pharmaceuticals and, you know, Public Health England, maybe somewhere along the lines there. I mean, once you get into the world of grants and funding, money comes from all over the place. But again, this isn't like Altria or PMI Science putting out like a 30-minute documentary, you know, where there's some conflicts of interest that are very visible. This is, you know, Yorkshire Cancer Research. So.
Yeah. So anybody that's in chat right now, please take the time out of your day to watch it. I greatly recommend anybody to kind of just share it around, because the more views on it, the more people will get to see it, and it just shows that this information can come from anywhere, practically. You can see it from any kind of company who has no stake in it, and it's bringing out great information, which to me is what...
It's good to note, too, that I don't remember what year it was, but it was recently, there was a study, survey, whatever you want to call it, conducted showing, you know, UK being very, very, very low on the list of countries that are influenced by tobacco money, by tobacco industry funding. And the UK is way down on that list. There's really not a whole lot. Like, when you compare it to somewhere like us, where we are so heavily funded, you know, by tobacco money in one way or another, whether it's through settlement agreement payments or through taxation, whatever it may be, there's a lot of sway from the tobacco industry in this country, whereas in the UK, there's really not much, if any.
And it's...
Or at least compared to countries like us.
So, share it around to your friends. Share it around to your family. It's really, really cool. See, Addy already put it in chat. Addy Tooney's here. It's like we don't need to put links now, because Addy Tooney's just the link king in YouTube chats. So that's awesome. Thank you, Addy, for doing that. But time to move on to something we saw on Vaping 360, of course, from our good friend Mr. Jim McDonald, the fact checker, to me, one of the news kings on just putting the information out there and putting it out in a...
Jim, I refuse to get off of your lawn.
Stay on his lawn.
Jim will understand.
Stay on his lawn. Stay on his lawn. But yeah, we're going to be talking about INNCO and how they're posing the Bloomberg's philanthropic colonialism. I know it's a lot of big words. Trying to...
Philanthropic colonialism.
Okay, I'll just have Logan be the one to explaining the big words. I'll be the one to talk about it, and he'd be like...
It's just, you know, it's a philanthropist. It's a guy with a endless blank check, you know, spreading his agenda and his you know, political agendas through, I don't want to call it, it's not like bribery, it's incentivizing through money.
Yeah. He's just writing checks to people to kind of get what he wants to happen.
Essentially, and here's the big thing, you know, before we get into this article, the thing that people need to understand is the vast majority of the world's smokers are in low to middle income countries, or LMICs. So when you have an LMIC, you have a poorer country that desperately can use this funding for a lot of really, really, really good things for their people, right? And you have a guy like Bloomberg that comes along and he wiggles this check, he dangles this money above their head, and he's, look, I'll give you guys this money, but it comes with some stipulations. And those stipulations are incentives, quote unquote incentives, to do the things that he wants you to do, like ban vapor products, ban lower risk alternatives to cigarettes. And so while countries maybe don't necessarily want to do that thing, it feels a lot like a lesser of two evils if they take that money that they can do a lot of really, really good things with, and they just go, okay, well, fuck smokers, we'll just ban safer nicotine alternatives.
And so
but I just want to put that into perspective, that these countries don't, it's not money just to ban vaping.
Mm-hmm.
It's money that they can do a lot of really, really good things with for their people.
Right.
But it comes with that attached.
Which is the biggest kind of
leeway
point of how it's going to be used. Yeah.
So I just wanted to, before we get really in depth with this article, I just kind of wanted to put that whole thing into perspective, that, that's what he's doing.
I'm going to put I'm going to put the link to the Vaping 360 article in chat for you guys so you guys can take a look at it with us. But yeah, INNCO is the International Network of Nicotine Consumer Organizations. Big words, I know. But this is really, really cool. They actually put a YouTube video out on it as well that I'm going to post in chat for you. Kind of, they do a lot of pretty cool, like 5-minute, couple-minute videos on their YouTube channel that are great. So I'm going to throw that link in chat for you guys as well to give that a watch. It's a very, very, very good video, but talks about like how the article starts off by talking about Michael Bloomberg and how we all know he's against vaping. Obviously, he's spent,
'cause it lowers your IQ 10 points.
Yeah, he's spent millions and probably almost billions, I would say by now, on anti-vaping.
Did you ever see that? I think it was Good Morning America with him and Matt Myers.
Oh God.
And he sat down and he looked right at I want to say it was Good Morning America, and he looked right at the host, and he told her that teenagers that use nicotine, their IQ will drop 10 whole points.
It's just those two people.
So all of the, NASA scientists who put men on the moon smoking cigarettes through the entire thing. Albert Einstein, who used to smoke a pipe regularly.
Yeah, it's just
IQ goes down. Mike Bloomberg.
But
that Mike.
INNCO came out with 10 reasons why flavor bans and all this kind of like action against vaping is bad, will pretty much do more harm than good for low risk nicotine alternatives, which I'm going to name off some of them here because a lot of them are really great. So first one is
just go right through all 10.
Yep. So bans are overly simplistic solution to a complex issue that will not work, which obviously it's like instead of actually trying to figure out what's wrong and why this is happening, no, they're just taking the easy way out and say just ban it. It's lack of concern, lack of just caring in general about it. And it's a sad thing to say about, to where these people were appointed into roles to where that's their job, is to care about this stuff, to make sure that they look into the stuff and do it the correct way. And coming out with situations like that, it's like kind of putting the faith that you have in the people that were appointing this stuff just out the window practically.
Bans and punitive, prohibitive policies are really, really easy to sell to the public because people think they work. People think it's better to ban the thing that they don't understand than it is to try and understand the thing that they don't understand and coexist in the world with it.
Second one is
just go ban it.
Prioritizing the banning of reduced harm alternatives over cigarettes is illogical. Yeah, it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life, to where you're going to ban an alternative, but of course you're going to leave the main thing that people are using these alternatives for, so they don't need to use that product again, on the market anywhere you can possibly buy it. It's just, it's frustrating. I know when everybody hears about flavor bans and stuff, it's like, we get it. They're banning vaping, but then cigarettes aren't touched.
I'm not in support of bans in general.
No.
Whether we're talking about cigarettes or we're talking about vaping or we're talking about heroin or we're talking about whatever we're talking about.
Right.
Bans don't work. See point A. They're an oversimplistic solution to a complex issue. But if we're going to ban something, which we shouldn't because it's going to come with a whole volley of other problems, why ban the safer product?
Mm-hmm.
Silly. Illogical. I like their word.
Yeah.
It's better than silly. Illogical is a better word.
And the next one is reduction and substitutions are valid goals for smokers in LMICs, which is like those low-income kind of
I'd like to highlight, too, I think reduction and substitution are valid goals for any smoker anywhere.
Yeah.
But definitely, for sure, for the sake of this article and this argument being, about LMICs, then yes, absolutely. But I would also like to interject and just say anywhere.
100%.
We're just more, we're the privileged ones to have them.
Yeah.
They absolutely deserve to have them, too.
And then, let's see what else. People who smoke have the right to choose to reduce their own risk of harm. Yeah, pretty much having the choice to it comes down at the end of the day of having the choice to put what in your put something in your body that you want or you need, practically.
Yeah, I will die on the human right to bodily autonomy hill.
Mm-hmm.
Every day.
It's like, it's my body and I get to do what I want with it, practically.
Right, as long as it doesn't
harm
others,
as
you're not bringing harm to others.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your human right to have sovereignty over yourself.
Yeah, it comes with nicotine alternatives, comes to smoking cannabis, comes to
the tattoos you want to put on your body, comes to
everything.
Everything. You should absolutely have sovereignty over your body, your mind, all of it.
Reducing harm alternatives can significantly contribute to the aims of global tobacco control. Which, yeah, of course. It's... I don't know if you have more of
what their aims should be, which is to dramatically reduce or, if possible, eliminate
smoking in America, or smoking
illnesses and disease caused by and death caused by smoking combustible cigarettes. That should be the entire global tobacco control goal.
Mm-hmm. That should be like the moment you walk in the building. That should be like their like a slogan that you walk in the door and you see.
And it swings down and hits you in the face with it right when you walk in, so you remember.
Kind of one of those situations like out back in Jackass, they were holding the hand behind the thing, and then somebody's waiting there, and then they let go of the hand and it just slaps them.
Yes, just like that, but with a big sign.
And have it be like ink, so when it hits them, it sticks to their head.
There you go. And then when they go in the mirror and they look again later, they see it again, backwards.
Like, what does that say? I can't read it.
I don't even know what that says.
Let's see. Lack of research in LMICs is not a valid reason to ban reduced harm alternatives.
Sure. This is one of those things where, the science from other countries doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And our country can't afford to do the science. So let's just take the easiest route out of this and ignore all of the other science.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll ban it.
Yeah.
That's it's terrible. Lack of research should not be, because there isn't a lack of research.
Right.
There's a lack of research conducted in an LMIC, in that country, sure. But is there an overall lack of research? No. There's mountains of research available.
Yeah, it's all out there.
Countries like to do this. I mean, we do this all the time. We invalidate research from the UK because we say, well, that's over there. That doesn't suit our population is different, our this and that is different, our metrics are different, or whatever. And then we discount that science because we need to do our own science, which I will say to some extent is good. Obviously population differences, cultural differences, things like that matter in science and you should take them into account. But to just blanketly disregard science from another country willingly is
Asinine.
is inexcusable.
Well, you know, if talking about the great Stan Glantz, it's like people over there, it's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you know?
Oh, right. And you'll have stinky underwear.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to go take a glance after the...
There's a lot more reasons than nicotine for why your underwear might smell, Mr. Glantz.
We're gonna make a taking a glance like a trending thing. It needs to be trending. Where instead of taking a crap, you're going to take a glance because he's just...
Here's a question, though. Why is it called taking a crap? Isn't it more like giving a crap?
Right, yeah. Well, because glance is so full of crap where it's like, yeah,
Food for thought.
that should be like a clogged toilet full of shit. Be like, oh, look, it's a glance.
Yeah, there you go. That's a great analogy. Or a great metaphor, whatever that is. Analogy.
I don't want to image it. I don't want to like have that image in my head. It just like, but instead of poop, I just imagine Stanton Glance's face.
Yeah,
That's it.
and like a pair of suspenders.
Oh God. And let's see what else. I think we're on this one. The prohibitionist approach on LMICs is outdated, unrealistic, and condescending. Of course. Because everybody
Again,
has...
I understand the article is about LMICs, but that statement is also just true across the board.
Yeah, because like take Stanton Glantz for example. His research, he's so set into like old ways of thinking, to where it's like he sticks to the old research that was done years ago, and kind of takes no account to anything modern when it comes to that kind of research. And people like that are so set in their ways, and like they don't want to take to account anything that could possibly be against what they originally either were a part of back in the day when they took part in that research, or anything similar to that.
And I'd also highlight that, when we're talking about the prohibition of substances, prohibitionist policies tend to be rooted in racism and classism, first and foremost. They're outdated, unrealistic, and condescending. Yeah, absolutely. And they just don't work. I mean, we have, in this country, 50 years of the war on drugs to show that doesn't work. Plus another additional, 50 years on top of that of prohibitionist policies. If we go all the way back to 1909 and outlawing the smoking of opium, we go all the way back there. We've got over 100 years of prohibitionist policy in this country that has equated to failure after failure after failure after failure, and injustice after injustice. So yeah, the prohibitionist approach is it just doesn't work. It's not a good approach. It's actually leads to a pretty tragic result.
It's a terrible approach. Let's see. Bans in LMICs will lead to illicit markets with increases in crime and no tax revenue. We're seeing that now.
I don't even need to say anything there.
We're
it's just
saying
an excellent point.
Yeah. We're like the moment that we have a week from Friday practically is going to be the last day the online market in the US is most likely going to be available for a little bit before things are worked out and kind of everything is kind of set into motion for a different
However
way
long that is, I wouldn't call it a little bit, like just
who knows
for now.
Yeah.
Like until everybody gets loud enough for this to change.
So we have practically a week and a half before online retail is in the US is gone practically, and it's a sad...
It won't be gone. It'll just be... It's going to be different.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about, shipping companies and these networks of shipping companies and things like that. If that works out for you, if you're in an area where that's achievable, hopefully you aren't facing a huge price hike, because that's a deterrent right out of the gate. But a lot of people are just not going to have access to this at all, at least for the time being. So,
like, I feel like the situation with the small shipping companies may be good for the people who kind of already have an idea of how to shop online for e-cigarettes and all that kind of stuff, because like people that might be okay with purchasing online and maybe spending a little bit more money if they're financially stable. But it's not going to help the people who have not found vaping yet, who are going to continue to smoke, or the people that were thinking about doing it and maybe have the option of buying their first vape online and then watching a YouTube video to figure out how it works. That's going to be something that's irrelevant now.
It's a bygone era.
Mm-hmm. The era of kind of taking it into your own hands, and
yeah, people are going to need Sherpas.
Yeah, it's
essentially you're going to need like a vape Sherpa now, which, to be fair, would have at one point just been the people behind the counter at your local vape shop.
Yeah,
they were your vape Sherpas. But now you need to like know somebody, and it's going to be this song and dance, and it's not going to be nearly as simple as it once was.
Yeah, and it's
still go to your vape shop if you have one, though, and there are Sherpas there.
And like the whole with this happening, of course, it's going to create a black market. You're going to see Facebook groups starting up. You're going to see websites staying online, don't really care. They're going to be like, I'll shut down when the SWAT team's at my door that the ATF brings in, because that's pretty much what's going to happen if you go against the ATF. It's going to be SWAT team and gun to your face.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't come to that.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't, but they don't mess around when it comes to keeping up with their laws and what they have in regulation.
The FDA will send you a letter. The FDA or the ATF, they don't
send humans with rifles and multiples of them.
Yeah, you don't mess around with the ATF.
And it's, let's see what else. Banning reduced harm alternatives leads people back to smoking and greater harm. Same thing when it comes, it's self-explanatory right now. Pretty much, you take away their availability to get this product, they're going to go back to the easiest solution, which is going back to smoking. It also kind of puts into the whole, what Logan talks about by like banning like just hard drugs altogether. You take away the kind of situations, and they're going to, like, where it's like,
I mean, if you have somebody who's on take a pain patient, for example. You have a pain patient who is stable, doing well on their prescription opioid, and then we take that safe supply of their medication, their opioid away. They're still in pain. Their pain didn't magically go away because we stopped giving them their medication. They're going to seek alternatives to reduce that pain, to treat themselves, to self-medicate. That could be going to the black market. It could be, I don't know, getting other doctors. Maybe there's some shady things happening to try and get your medication. Either way, it doesn't lead to a better result than this person just being able to have the thing that helps them, the safer thing that helps them. It's probably not the best analogy there, but
I think people can get the idea of, like, you take away somebody's alternative, get something that helps them, and gives them the opportunity to go to a market to where something else can be involved with it, or at the end of the day, somebody can be put at harm for going out of, like, creating a different way of getting it.
Yeah, people are either going to go back to smoking or they're going to go to the black market, and neither one is a good choice, right?
Because you think
either
about
have
black market,
an unregulated, unsafe market where you have no tax, no product standard, no age verification, no ID. You could very easily be put in situations where you or others could get hurt. I don't know if anyone has ever been in a drug deal that went bad, but it's not a great situation to be in. And essentially, you're going to be in those situations. Like if you're buying even e-liquid on a black market, if it's illegal, it's a drug deal, bro. Like, I don't know how else to say it. But yeah, if you're pulling up to the back of McDonald's parking lot to buy a bottle of, blueberry 3% or something, or 3 milligram or whatever, you as just a vapor who's never done drugs, you're doing drugs right now, ever done drugs before, it's never been in a drug deal, that's what it looks like. It's the same thing.
Oh,
and those situations have a lot of potential to go wrong. Like there's a lot of things that can happen there. So not only do people go back to smoking, but they go to the black market, and neither one of those are good options.
And then last one, which is pretty much self-explanatory, blanket bans in LMICs are a form of philanthropic.
Philanthropic.
Big words suck. I'm just going to go out and say
philanthropic colonialism.
Yes. I have a high school education, people. That's it.
Rich, old, white dudes with lots of money trying to shape the world to their worldview. That's what philanthropic colonialism is. In a
Fucking
nutshell.
old people.
Goddamn white people, man. Rich white people. Rich old white men. Fucking it all up.
God damn it. It's kind of cool that we kind of stuck with the Bloomberg thing, because our next topic of conversation kind of goes into that a little bit, because there's somebody who's kind of been in that kind of role where he's been around with ENNCO products. He's worked with people that we don't like, and it's a big article. I'm gonna post the Google Drive kind of document in there. It's 10 pages, but it's like only like 7 pages of actual information. The other 3 are like links, and where it's like resources, all you got. But it's a really, really good read. It was a little thing that commentary done by Mr. Clifford E. Douglas. He worked 33 plus years into pretty much the American tobacco control community. He worked with people like Matt Myers. He was saying Matt Myers was his first mentor. Matt Myers is now the president and I guess CEO of Campaign for Tobacco Free Kids.
Yeah, he was. Clifford was with the American Cancer Society, the ACS, for a number of years. But yeah, he's been in tobacco control, tobacco research, smoking, all of it for decades.
Oh yeah.
So this is somebody who's
well seasoned,
well integrated into the U.S. tobacco policy, family.
I mean, he worked with. I know there's a sentence right here where he worked with the Surgeon General and U.S. Assistant Secretary for Health during the Obama administration. He's had a lot of kind of, I want to say, like, pull into some things going on, but people went to him for, what should we do?
Sure.
And there's a couple paragraphs I want to kind of, well, at least one that kind of stuck to me the most out of reading all this, which, here it is. Okay, let's see. But I think the national tobacco control community in the U.S., my community, is now letting down tens of millions of adult smokers, their families and friends, healthcare providers, and government decision makers. I referred to my community's approach to dealing with electronic cigarettes, and we are now neck deep in interactable. I lost my place. Holy crap. Oh yeah, so pretty much like it's pretty much a war between mainstream tobacco control and like people are focusing on protecting youth from dangers of vaping, tobacco harm reduction community, and then it's like there's so many details in this kind of this paper that he does.
He's just calling for his community, the tobacco control community, to be open and honest about the science of these, with these products, with safer nicotine products, particularly vaping, and that the approach that we're taking right now is the wrong approach. He also does call out the tobacco harm reduction community as well a little bit in this.
There's one sentence that kind of was to me the meat and potatoes of everything in this when it comes to what this paper stood for and what I think needs to happen overall. And it's I urge all of us in the tobacco control community to climb out of the bunker, come to the table, and try to genuinely work together. Be with the tobacco harm reduction advocates and the people in the tobacco control community. We need to work together to kind of create something that could be reasonable for everybody. It's right there in paper, somebody who's been in this industry when it comes to tobacco control and all that kind of stuff for decades. He said it right there. This is what needs to happen for things to go better. And it's
this is a really big deal. Cliff Douglas coming out with this, because he's risking a number of things. He's risking his reputation in that field. He's risking relationships with people that he has built up and worked with over decades. And there's a real stigma within tobacco control for people coming out like this. You know, like tobacco control is very much like a boys club, you know? It's very much like a, I don't want to use the word cult. It's very much like a boys club. And
like
when
a
you
country
kinda
club,
step out
like
of
a
that
country club
fold,
membership kind of thing, to where it's
yeah,
or like a boat club.
there's shaming, there's shunning, there's possible repercussions like that. So this took a lot of guts. This is not something to be like swept under the rug. This is something to really respect Mr. Douglas for in what he's doing here, because coming out like this is not easy. This is
puts
not
his
an
entire
easy
career
choice.
at stake.
Yeah, this is your entire career you have built over decades that you have worked for anybody in any position who's worked for decades around something, to build a career and a reputation and colleagues and relationships around that, even if maybe you're not doing the right thing. It's not easy to walk away from that, you know.
Yeah.
I think it still takes a good set of balls to do what he did, and I'm eternally grateful for this.
Yeah, it's something.
If you listen to, I would really encourage, I don't know what week it was though, maybe 2 weeks ago. Here's the issue with the Kasa podcast, is they're just dated. They're just dated, so you got to know what day it was. Recently, Alex and I covered this, and Alex gave a speech that he deserved a standing ovation for, because he essentially left me speechless around this. Really, Alex's big point, you know, was like, Cliff goes into this letter and he talks about his niece. Right here in this paragraph, the conflation in news reports, and he's talking about the Avali crisis and just misinformation in the media in general, and shading by some public health organizations and advocates of the distinctions between youth vaping and lethal vaping episodes linked to THC and vitamin E acetate engendered widespread fear, leading some people back to smoking. My own young adult niece, having previously switched to Juul after years of smoking cigarettes, returned to smoking because she said she was afraid that Juul might kill her. Her boyfriend did the same thing. So, was this the tipping point? That's my question, really. Like, was actually seeing someone he loved and cared about go back to smoking as a result of all of this misinformation?
Probably. I would say, because people can say that all this kind of stuff where it's like they can have their opinions and all that, but then when it comes to like having like a personal experience happen to you with that situation, it could change your entire perspective. It can open your eyes.
I agree. I think it's human nature,
Yeah.
right? Like, that's a human nature thing. It's just shitty, because if Cliff Douglas had, at any point gone over to Kasa, he would have found 13,000 testimonials from real human beings who also have families, of people who successfully quit, how much their health has improved, and how a lot of them, at some point or another, they feared going back to smoking. But those are all real people that made that switch. All of those people are real people who could have potentially just been Cliff Douglas's niece, who were scared away from these products by all of this misinformation and went back to smoking.
It's heartbreaking. It really is.
And that's just 13,000 people who have written testimonies to Kasa. Like the actual number is well in the millions. But in case anybody wants to read testimonies from real human beings,
Let's see. I know there's going on to that paragraph that you read, and it says, like, it did not matter that Juul and e-cigarettes in general were not implicated in the rash of lung injuries. The alarming headlines connected the injuries to e-cigarettes stoked broad alarm. Indeed, the national poll found that 2/3 of the respondent wrongly attributed Avali deaths to the use of conventional e-cigarettes like Juul, while only 28% correctly attributed Avali deaths to the use of devices with altered THC. And he knows that it was THC products and not the vapor products we use. He knows that. And And he's...
Can we get the name Evali changed yet?
It's such a goofy name.
It's just an incredibly misleading name.
Yeah. And it's like... The final paragraph of this, which is great as well, is like, we must find a way to collaborate with integrity. That includes all of us. I encourage both of my communities to join hands across the ideological divide to pursue our common cause of combating illness and saving lives by preventing all tobacco use by young people and helping adult smokers quit smoking. People who smoke should not have to die because they do not know that they have less harmful sources of nicotine. There's a paragraph that could sum up why me and Logan keep doing this. I think that's a pretty good one. Where it's like, why can't we all just get together and show the world that there is something, an alternative that is greatly healthier than sticking to smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, the one thing I wish Cliff understood a little better is he says here, you know, but the same goes for my other community, with whom I agree regarding the evidence-based promise of THR, but which also bears some responsibility for the adversarial nature of the relationship and for not consistently acknowledging areas of ambiguity or concern, including significant rates of experimentation with vaping by youth, youth-oriented marketing by some segments of the vaping industry. What he's saying here is that we're confrontational and we actively dismiss concerns. Okay, well, let's break it down. Why are we adversarial? Why are we confrontational? Because countless businesses around the country are closing, people are losing their livelihoods, our loved ones are going back to smoking and dying, and we are having our human rights stripped away. So those are all pretty good reasons for us to be adversarial, I would say. I would say it's pretty well justified, especially when we face backlash from media and organizations that lie and manipulate and you know, just spread propaganda. Yeah, we're adversarial. Absolutely we are. And I believe it's completely justified.
And when you're sitting there treated like a not normal human being just because you vape by companies like the Truth Initiative, where they treat you as some kind of creature who uses a vapor product, it's unbelievable. Are we dismissive of areas of ambiguity or concern, including rates of experimentation by vaping with youth, which I really do appreciate his choice of words there. Rates of experimentation, which is really what it is. Our fluctuating rates of use by youth is experimentation year after year. I appreciate his use of words, but when have we not been concerned about that? We've been so more concerned about it that we actually do the math. And we actually talk about the numbers, and we actually put the information out there instead of lying about it. Why? Because we actually care. So to me, a lot of that is, I think there's some parts of this that even Cliff doesn't fully understand, or he doesn't acknowledge and appreciate, and he's a little dismissive of here, I think. But I would agree on the whole that our two communities have to work together. Like, it's inevitable. If we want to get anywhere, we have to work together. I just feel like it's not us that are lying and being shitty. Maybe I'm biased there. No,
I'm not putting out misinformation.
We're just consumers that are trying to stay off tobacco products. That's it.
Scaring adults away. So.
And we're trying to keep our livelihoods intact with all this shit going on right now due to COVID and all kinds of crazy shit.
He talks about marketing, some youth-oriented marketing by some segments of the vaping industry. Sure. And how often does the community call out bad actors who have shit marketing, shit branding, stuff that does look youth-oriented? Companies that put out juice box looking e-liquid, they get shit on really quickly because this is a community of people that care, and we don't tolerate a lot of shit.
Yeah, we keep each other accountable, and we hold each other accountable.
When you talk about, the industry needs to be responsible about things. And public concern, diacetyl is a great example of how we took a public concern, people's genuine concern, and the industry worked around it. And we self-regulated, and we addressed those concerns, those safety concerns.
A lot of the stuff that came out within the
I think
past,
that's one of
10
those
years.
things where, like, Cliff not being in this community doesn't see or know those things, so he can't really acknowledge them, I guess.
I think it's
Like,
more
if I were
of a
to
fact
sit
that he
down with
doesn't
Cliff
know.
right now, this is the part that I would really like to have a discussion about, because I think he just needs to have a better picture about why we're mad. If he doesn't understand why we're mad, so much of this is just mute to begin with. He needs to understand why we're mad, and this like, you know, not acknowledging areas of concern. We do, and we do a better job of it more often than the tobacco control community does.
And it's like, to me, I think it's not more of like he refuses to acknowledge it. It's more of I doubt he took the time and actually like got a hold of people like CASA or like all these kind of bigger organizations. No, he doesn't know what like the actual fight is behind the scenes.
There's a lot of nuance to the whole story of vaping. And I guess it just depends on like what side of that aisle you're on, is how much of that nuance you're going to get. But that should also be part of that conversation, to have these communities come together. You know, like, if you want to learn about the history of vaping and e-cigarettes, CASA has an entire timeline dedicated to that, where you can go and look at all of these things broken down. You know, but a lot of this stuff along the way is just like, I don't know. That would be the only part of this that I would really, the rest of it I really like. I would just like to have that conversation with Cliff.
Yeah, and it's, I bet you if you would have had that conversation, this article would have been, I think he would have put that in there. Because with what he put in there now, what else does he have to lose?
The whole thing.
What else does he have to lose? He already put his entire career on the line for just the things he put in there. If he would have put a little bit more in there on reaching out to our side and figuring out why we're so angry and why, and like why we're doing the things we are and how we self-regulated in the past, it would be that much better of an article and kind of
like to
open
ask
up
Cliff
a lot more eyes.
I'd like to ask Cliff if he believes in vaccines. And I would like to ask him how frustrated he is with the anti-vaccine community. And then I would like to say, that's our frustration. As a community of people who follow the science, understand the science, and use this technology, we believe in it. We believe in these philosophies because we know they work. These policies work. The anti-THR crowd is the anti-vax crowd in that essence. You're denying science. You're pushing propaganda. Isn't that frustrating for someone in the world of vaccines and public health to be like, yeah, this is really frustrating. We have a lot of people who are out there denying all of our hard work and denying this and that, denying the science, pushing back, forcing propaganda. That's frustrating. You'd be frustrated.
That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Anti-science.
Yeah, it's anger-inducing. That's what it is.
Yeah. I think the bigger point is like, no, we're not always, I don't know, politically correct about the way that we engage with people on Twitter. Okay. But again, we're mad because our families are dying. I'm not always going to be politically correct when my best friend has stage 4 lung cancer because you banned safer products.
Right.
I'm probably not going to be nice at that point. And I feel like that's pretty justified.
Yeah.
So.
Because everybody in here could probably was affected or has been affected by somebody who has lost the battle. And we're out here to show that you don't need to go on with that battle anymore. There's something out there that can save you practically.
There's a lot of things out there.
Yeah.
This being one of the best. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That paper that he
excellent,
did was good for
excellent
what
letter
it was, but I agree with you on how if you would have kind of put a little bit more into there of like maybe reaching out to the THR community a little more and kind of getting a hold of the right and trying to understand why we're angry and why we're acting the way we are, you would get a better understanding.
those sentences, that whole bit from him could very well be just fan service to try and appeal to the tobacco control side of things with their frustration, how they all think that we're just this angry mob online. You know, that might be his way of like, you know, trying to stay on that fence and saying, look, well, you guys could do a little bit better of a job. So his tobacco control buddies go, yeah, they could do a better job. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those kind of
stay in the middle and not
things,
leaning
maybe.
too much
I don't know.
on one
Either
side.
way, I'd love to have that conversation.
Yeah. He's trying not to kind of lean into one way specifically. He wants to stay kind of in that
Yeah, it
neutral
wouldn't
spot.
be effective if he just shat all over the tobacco control community and didn't shit on us a little bit too.
Yeah, it's kind of...
You know, you got to evenly spread the shit around if you want to get that good balance. I don't know.
You got to spread the glance.
That was a terrible analogy.
Gotta spread the
I don't have good
glance.
analogies for you guys tonight. I'm sorry.
I feel like you should have just stuck with spreading the glance. I think that would have
I should have just stopped. I should have just stopped. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I feel like that could very well be really just what that is. Maybe he does actually understand the frustration. Maybe he does get it. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Cliff, but I would love to speak to Cliff.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool conversation. I think I would want to listen to as well.
See if I can get him on a Rise and Chat sometime.
Try to get into his email. See what happens.
I don't know, maybe.
It might take a couple months. But yeah, that's pretty much all we had for main topics of conversation today. But before we kind of get out of here, we always kind of want to go through a bunch of stuff that's going on through CASA and the call to actions that are out there right now. Because there's a lot of them. Throughout the past, let's see, I would say a week or so, there's been at least 6. Yeah, I'm looking at 6 call to actions that happened in the past week. So first one we're looking at is Rhode Island. There's a bill out there right now, which is, where get into it, H5548, which would repeal a flavor ban that is in effect in Rhode Island. And if you're in Rhode Island, it's more like a have to fill out kind of thing. Have to be for, because if you're a vapor in the state of Rhode Island, you have to be for this new bill that would pretty much cancel out this flavor ban that was already intact, which is something that is great. I love seeing that kind of legislation out there as well, because seeing a call to action
rare that we see like good legislation. It's rare that we see legislation that we want to like.
Yeah, it's like this is a good call to action, I guess you can say.
That we don't want to oppose.
Because it just shows that there's a bill out there that can reverse a flavor ban.
It just feels weird as like a vape advocate or just a vapor in general to be like, wait, you want me to say yes to this? Mm-hmm. Well, we'll take more of that. I would love to have more bills like this.
And then we got the one in Minnesota, which is HF991/SF961, which would impose a 35% retail tax on vapor products. 35%. That is insane. Because we already know prices are rising when it comes to shops are a little bit more expensive just because of how shops have to do business. It's not going to be like online. So adding another 35% of what you're spending, you're probably spending $20, $25 on a 120 mil. Yeah. At a shop.
Just to talk a little bit more about Minnesota really quick. The National Bureau of Economic Research, economists from the National Bureau of Economic Research showed Minnesota's 95% wholesale tax, which they implemented, years ago, discouraged more than 32,000 people from switching away from smoking. So Minnesota already had a huge wholesale tax that discouraged 32,000 people away from smoking. You're going to add an additional 35% tax on retail. How many thousands of people is that going to discourage?
Sickening. That's 32,000 people that you pretty much signed their death warrant practically.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, it could be an additional 30,000 people that get dissuaded from switching, or it could be more. We don't know. I don't have that data yet because it hasn't happened. We don't want that data, so we should obviously vote no. I don't want to count how many people this bill discourages from switching.
And staying in Minnesota as well, there's actually another bill out there that is a full statewide flavor ban.
Yeah, which will discourage a lot more.
Yeah, well, pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Because you won't have the choice.
A lot of people back.
We got HF 904, so if you're in the state of Minnesota, make sure you're doing that call to action as well. And
Minnesota. How do Minnesotans say it? Minnesota. That's what it is.
And then we got one from my home state, which would, yeah, it's another one. So HB 201 in the state of Illinois would ban vaping in the same places where smoking is prohibited. So you get a location like public park, where sometimes you would have, there's no smoking at public parks, and they say to where now you can't vape there. Pretty much just taking more of your rights away to kind of get away from vaping in public. And so there's a there's a wellness slip for the hearing where you can send a message to the committee members urging them to oppose HB 201 by submitting this wellness slip. So anybody in the state of Illinois, please kind of do that. I know I've already filled it out a couple times, but they're tired. People in Illinois are probably tired of hearing from me just because I'm sending emails left and right to. I've even sent freaking stuff to my village. Like, I don't know if it's even considered a mayor when your town is a village. Technically, I don't know. But it's like small people like that, where it's like, I know the town I live in. I don't even think there is a vape shop in the town of Streamwood that I live in. The town of Illinois, yeah.
Minnesota. That's how I'm gonna say it from now on.
And it looks like this the hearing is scheduled for yesterday. It was a virtual hearing that was scheduled for yesterday. So hopefully we'll see what happened with this. If it's just gonna stay in the woodworks and just nothing really happened with it, or it's gonna come into effect. Who knows? But then we got Vermont, which another state with the flavor ban. Where it's like flavor bans left and fucking right. So we got S24 and H141 would ban the sale of tobacco and vapor products in any flavor other than tobacco. While S24 has had several hearings, representation from people who are benefiting from the availability of smoke-free alternatives is sorely lacking. A similar bill from last session although suffered from lopsided testimony but did not make it all the way through the process. At this time, there is no additional hearing scheduled, but it's always good to reach out to your lawmakers with concerns. So that's good that there's no really future hearing scheduled for this bill. But it doesn't really give you an excuse to stop sending these call to actions or sending them to your local lawmakers and legislators, telling them how much you oppose this bill. Because it can be like anything. It could be like New York, it can be like Massachusetts, it could be like the vape mail ban, to where it's not talked about for a while and suddenly appear on somebody's desk overnight and be signed into law. It takes literally half hour at times to where it's like, or an hour to where it's like nothing was done about it. It's on somebody's desk, signed, and it's in effect. Without anybody knowing, without any opportunity to fight against it, anything could happen. So if you're in Vermont, make sure you are keeping on top of that as well, sending your call to actions at least once a day. And then we got Montana, which is Stop the City by City March of Flavor Bans with HB. What do you say?
This is a preemption thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is one that we want to support.
Right.
What this does, HB 137 would prohibit local governments in Montana from enacting their own vaping and nicotine laws that exceed state regulations. Essentially, we want to stop like little townships and everything all over Montana from being able to just outright ban these products and go above state laws.
Yeah. That's why state laws are...
Because local governments are ill-equipped to deal with and make, regulatory decisions around these things.
Mm-hmm.
Your local city hall is just not equipped for this.
Right.
They're well equipped to handle the potholes in the roads,
or maybe
like
a street sign that
benches in the parks, stuff like that. But they're not equipped to handle regulatory policies, regulatory drug policies.
There's no way.
Effectively, So yeah, HB 137 is another one that we do want to support.
So there's two on the market.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
That's not something that's very common, to be honest. It's like, it sucks to say it, but most of it, the stuff, it sucks to see on for call to actions. It's all doom
yeah.
and gloom.
Most of it's like oppose. That's why I was
you
like,
got two right
sometimes
here.
it's just weird.
Two out of the six that have happened in the past week.
I'm supposed to click yay, not nay.
2 out of the 6 for the past week that have been, we want to be for this
And
bill.
that doesn't mean the HB 137 too doesn't mean that Montana isn't going to turn around at the state level
and do a ban.
and try to do something. But we would much rather fight this at the state level than try to keep up with a sweeping wave of bans that roll through the state. Plus, it's just a better decision to have this in the hands of the state as opposed to all the localities across Montana.
Yeah, it just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, for call to actions, of course, we still have the comment period for the vape mail ban. I believe that's still going on.
Yes. Vape mail ban comment period for USPS and Congress. That call to action is going on until the 22nd, like 11:59 at night, the 22nd. I've just been telling people, though, play it safe. Just put it on your calendar by the 21st. If you haven't done it yet, by the 21st, you need to submit that stuff. It's 2 parts, super easy, get it done. Awesome.
Because we've already seen kind of the effects of it happening with multiple places doing closeout sales with the shops going under. Like, we have ones that Friday of this week is the last day that they're doing sales. They're not even bothering doing sales.
And whether or not this changes anything,
just do it.
It is extremely important for us to get those comments in because they become like they're documented. They're there. Our opposition is there. Our voices are there. When somebody says, well, nobody really fought back or opposed this whole thing, you can go, what do you mean? Dig out the tens of thousands of comments, if we have that many, and we'll show you that people very much oppose this.
Like,
So
the emails are there. It's everything.
Yeah,
when
whether
you do that,
it
it's trackable.
changes anything now, it can be very, very beneficial to us down the line.
I agree. So it's like, if you haven't filled it out yet, at least do it before at least by the 21st. Do yourself a favor. Something that...
Guys, I over-squonked.
Oh, jeez.
I over-squonked on my brand new snowcap mods.
That thing has high airflow, too. You squonked that much?
I did, bro.
Jesus.
See, here's the issue is they okay, I got to get in the camera. You can squonk it from both sides. So now I get to pinch my bottle.
And you just pinched the hell out of it.
And I just pinched the hell out
You're
of
just
it.
like, ah!
I just hulked out on it. My aggression. I took my aggression out on that squonk bottle.
Well, other than that, guys, I think that is what we have for you guys today. But before we get out of here, I kind of got some special news that my co-host would like to share with everybody. I don't know if you've seen it a little bit, but I think this is a really cool thing that I want him to talk about a little bit because it's a big step with him being an advocate and moving on in his vaping journey, I guess you can say. So, Logan, take it away.
I joined the board of directors for CASA.
That was very, I was waiting for you to be...
I don't know, man. I'm not really good at, hyping myself up. It's really, it's an amazing thing. I'm incredibly honored. I've kind of been there for the last few weeks, kind of participating. People know I've been doing the CASA podcast with Alex now for almost 2 months. But yeah, the official vote was recently. Everything was, kind of put out onto the interwebs today, made an official thing. And it's really exciting. It's really, it's a big honor. It's CASA, man. It's CASA, and I get to work with an incredible group of advocates, and we're going to continue doing what CASA does, and I get to be there for it, and it's awesome.
And for me, in general, it's like knowing that CASA has this beautiful bearded bastard over here.
I'm the only person with a beard at CASA right now. No, Alex has a beard, but mine's better.
Of course, that's like... I saw his on Tuesday Bro Newsday, and I was like, yeah, Logan's is better.
It's just a little better.
Slightly better.
See, he's got that nice salt and pepper thing going.
I'm starting to get a little bit of salt and peppery a little bit. I'm starting to see a little bit
Yeah,
more white hairs.
mine's just Irish red, man.
I'm seeing a bunch of gray hairs now, and I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not even 30 yet. Don't do this to me.
Thank you, everybody in chat. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
but seeing that you go through that, kind of taking that next step in the fight that you've always been fighting for, it's an honor to share a show with you, knowing that it just seeing hard work pay off like that, being able to show the community how much you care about it and be able to put that into action by being a board member of easily the best advocacy organization in the U.S.
I mean, we're definitely the largest and the oldest.
Yeah,
I would consider us the best too.
Oh, hands down, without even it's not even a conversation.
Yeah, and it's the board is just, there's so many great people on the board, and it's been, I don't know if the word is surreal a little bit, because I've relied on CASA so much. I think we all do, for so long, for so many calls to action, for heads up, for what's going on in legislation. And it's just one of those, it's a little surreal, right? Like, I've been talking about CASA, I've been talking about calls to action. We've been doing this for so long now, and now I get to be a part of it. It almost doesn't, I don't know, it's a little surreal, but it's really cool, and I'm really, I'm just happy to be a part of the team, and I'm happy to just to keep doing what we're doing.
And CASA is a lot more than just the people who represent on the board. They're the voices.
We are CASA.
All of everybody in chat is a part of CASA. Everybody.
Like, if you're a member, you're a part of CASA. And
yeah.
Me and Alex talked about this recently. We were talking about how CASA has state groups for every state. There's a group for every state. There's a Montana state group. There's a Vermont state group.
I can't find the Illinois state one at all anywhere.
Okay, it exists, I promise, and I'll get it to you if you can't find it. But not only is that, that's a really great thing for people in those states to communicate with each other and maybe let each other know about local things that are going on, but while it's also great for them, it's also great for CASA, because there's 39,000 local governments across the United States. 39,000. And there is no program, no group of people, no team, no anything that can keep track of every single one of those local governments when things come up. Right. So not only is the community reliant on CASA for heads up and calls to action on things that are going on, but CASA is also reliant on the community and people giving feedback locally. So if you're not a part of your state's CASA group on Facebook, please join it. And if you're able to, when you see things come up in your state and CASA doesn't have something out yet, put it in those put it in those Facebook groups. And CASA, it's very much a back and forth thing. Like, we rely on the community for just as much as the community relies on us, and so we are CASA. It's not just the board, it's not just Alex, it's all of us together, working together, supporting each other. That's CASA. That's what I got.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, guys, I think that is what we have for you guys this evening. So, I'd like to thank everybody in chat for hanging out. Appreciate every single one of you. Of course, we also love the guys that come watch us on the replay. Oh, sometimes people forget about the replay.
Replay guys, you're amazing. Much love to you.
Replay crew is awesome. Much love. But yeah,
guys, gals, and everyone in between.
That's pretty much it, guys.
And Beans too. I just kicked my cat inadvertently. Sorry,
Jesus.
Beans.
Logan, you got anything come up with the CASA podcast come up the next week?
CASA podcast, everybody, every Monday, live 6 a.m. Eastern over on SoundCloud. We're on the other major podcast platforms, but check us out on SoundCloud. I would really deeply appreciate follows on SoundCloud. It's the best place for us to get our metrics and analytics. It's also where you're going to find links in the descriptions. It's also where you're going to find the timestamps that I meticulously take the time to put in for people. All of that is available on SoundCloud, and you won't get that on other platforms. So please follow us and listen to us on SoundCloud. Otherwise, that's really, I mean, I can tell you, man, with Rise and Vape, I've got it around. It's on the back burner. Everything Rise and Vape related is kind of on the back burner. I've been doing Sunday morning Rise and Vape shows at 11 a.m. Eastern on Instagram. If anybody wants to follow that page, if you want to come hang out with me in the morning, a lot of that is just kind of me doing the same thing. It's a lot of calls to action. It's advocacy stuff. It's news. And a lot of times it's just me now, but I'm considering bringing on guests, doing stuff with it. So it's there. If people want to follow it, it's Rise and Vape Club on Instagram, all one word. So I'm still doing that there. And then if anybody wants to come on Sunday nights to the Come Down, my channel on Instagram, Logan_Exhales. We usually build stuff, wick stuff, vape stuff, hang out, chill. We come down together from a long week.
Awesome.
That's what do you got going on, Corey? That's what I got.
Well, yeah, I dropped another beer review for you guys this afternoon, so if you haven't checked that out, be greatly appreciated if you go check that out. I have a whole playlist full of beer reviews. If you wanted to sit back and have it play in the background, I'd appreciate that too, because a view is a view. And if you're interested to see what other things I'm up to, just gotta keep an eye on my channel. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. I'm usually doing a review at 4 p.m. Central every day, practically. So, chock full of content throughout the week. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got. So just keep an eye on the channel. Make sure you're tuning into the Kasa podcast every Monday. And yeah, that's it, guys. So yeah, I'd like to thank everybody in chat again for hanging out. It's much appreciated. Of course, got to thank my co-host here with me, who comes in every other week and we hang out. And
It's
just
always a pleasure, Corey.
talk some advocacy shenanigans, you know?
Shenanigans.
Yeah,
Yes.
shenanigans.
It is St. Patty's Day, too.
Yeah,
Perfect time for shenanigans.
yeah.
I hope everybody has had a great time celebrating driving the pagans out of Ireland.
And have a green beer to celebrate. A green beer or a Guinness. I would accept either one.
Yeah. So my I didn't wear any green today, but I am Irish, and my little one came up to me earlier, and she was going to try to pinch me because I wasn't wearing any green, and I was like, "Slow your roll, little one. I have Irish immunity, which means internally I am always green, and you cannot pinch me today."
Like, he doesn't have red blood. It's like you cut it, like he bleeds and it's green. It's just
Like
how
the Hulk, basically, but just on the inside, not the outside.
it's with the inside that counts, Logan. But yeah, that is it, guys. So we will see you guys not next week, but the week after. So stay safe. Hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, fantastic evening, fantastic week, pretty much 2 weeks. And we will see you all next time. See ya.